Sorry about that, folks. Hi, everyone. It's just me. So, I've got to get a better system here. I'm trying to do my little webcam, and it is just wonky, and it doesn't want to work the way it should. So, anyway, yeah, I don't like this. I just kind of press live, and yeah, there we go. Okay. Let's see. Let me do it this way. Do it this way. That's it's an earthquake. Anyway, hi everyone. Ignore the stuff in the background. Unfortunately, I can't hide it, and yeah. So, I hope everyone had a really nice Turkey Day. If you lived in the States, if you lived in Canada, or if you live in Canada, your Thanksgiving was in what? October? And let's see. Let's see. All right. Ooh, where were you on the night of? You can see. This is a professional, really a professional operation. Definitely a professional operation. Okay. Wow. There we go. Yeah, I really need to invest in a 3D. Just forget it. And you didn't see that. Anyway, yeah, so hi everyone. Not that anyone's going to actually be watching this. If anybody pops in, I will be highly surprised. Yeah. So, um, these are my curly locks. So anyway, yeah, I hope that everyone had a really nice holiday. Ours was quiet. We're heading into Christmas. As you can see, I have nothing in my ears, but I do sell jewelry. So I will put in the link below where you can find my jewelry. I make jewelry, and I don't know why I can't find my earrings that I've been wearing. So if you have a sweetie, a sister, a mother, a daughter, and you're looking for some jewelry, I make handmade jewelry. I did not make this. This is a gift from someone, but I wear other people's jewelry, but I don't wear mine. It's called Underground Fairy, and I have a coffee shop, KOFI. I have a Facebook page. Yeah, that's me selling my jewelry, and I don't even wear it. Isn't that funny? So yeah, I'm being a little mysterious there, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to get on here. I've been doing some deep dive stuff with regards to ancient Egypt and ancient civilizations because I think I had done a video earlier about Graham Hancock and a show that's on Netflix called Ancient Apocalypse. And it's really good. It's on Netflix. I recommend it. It's very informative. It's not woo woo. I know people think, oh, Graham Hancock is very woo woo. He's not woo woo. He's actually pretty grounded. If you do actually, though, think that talking about psychedelics is woo woo, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, we're in 2020, folks. Come on. Or 2022. Like, get with the program here. But it's made me look like I was, I've kind of dipped my toe in over the years to all of these subjects about what is the true history of human civilization. And I'm just kind of like, I'm deep diving. There's a really good channel on YouTube called Uncharted X. I highly recommend them. And they really go deep dive into a lot of the ancient Egypt, highly precise technology, that kind of stuff. They really do a really good job about looking at all of the artifacts that we're told were done with diorite chisels and bronze tools, etc. They're saying, look at this. This is not, can't be done by this. And they really do a really, really good deep dive. I really highly recommend that, to kind of go back and study again what you think you know about Egyptian history. Because most of us, including myself, I really haven't, I've been picking things up here and there as the years go by, but most of us really haven't done a intentional deep dive on the history of ancient Egypt, or on the history of any culture. Now, most of us, at least in the United States, really only get a cursory grade school coverage of ancient Egypt, Greece, Roman, and Sumerian. Like, that's what I remember from my past. That was in grade school, though. So that was even before seventh and eighth grade. Seventh and eighth grade, I remember learning about Ohio history because I'm from Ohio. So you probably got your state history in junior high. And then in high school, you got maybe contemporary world history, United States history, that kind of stuff, depending on how many requirements you were supposed to get. That's really it. So they basically teach ancient cultures when you were in grade school, and they, of course, dumb it down. And we certainly didn't get any knowledge or information about, like, say, South America or the Mayan or Aztec cultures. That I don't remember that. Like, it was primarily Egypt, Sumerian, Greece, and Roman. That's kind of my memory of it. I remember I remember the Sumerian stuff because we played a game called the Royal Game of Ur. And you can actually buy this game. If you go on Amazon, I'm pretty sure that you can still buy it. And it's called the Royal Game of Ur. And we learned about this game in grade school and we played it. And I was like, ooh, I want to get a copy of this because I was like, yeah. And you learn about cuneiform and you play around and make cuneiform tablets and that kind of stuff. And then, of course, you do the whole typical, oh, here's the Egyptian culture. And, you know, and then I'm trying to think what else I learned. I remember learning about Troy because I had to do a project and I made, well, I didn't make, my mother did. I'll tell you the story about the Trojan horse. And I did a project for school, and this was in grade school, about the Trojan horse. And we had bought plaster, like paper mache. And it was this paper mache, and you add water and you mix it up, and you're supposed to put it on a frame. Well, that was complete and utter disaster. Like, it did not work the way they said it was supposed to, right? So scratch that. We decided to go ahead and just cut out cardboard and made a really, I think I actually have a photograph somewhere because it was really cool. Like, it was a cardboard cutout, and it had, like, my mother was very, I mean, she was a doctor, but she was actually very artistically talented, and so she could actually sew. She sewed Barbie doll clothes to represent the Puritans, the Cavaliers, and their fashion choices. So, like, Barbie and Ken were the Cavaliers, and Marie and Donnie were the Puritans. I had the Donnie and Marie doll, and so Donnie and Marie were my Puritans, and my mother sewed these costumes. I think I have photographs of them as well. And they're really neat. I mean, they were kind of like sewn on to the thing, but she, like, hand sewed all these little costumes. Like she could do that. And it's like one of those examples of, like, oh, okay, your parents are doing your projects for you. Like, yeah, you're really constructing these doll costumes. But anyway, but yeah, she was really talented, and so she was helping me also do this this Trojan horse, which turned out really cool. It was cardboard, like two pieces of cardboard that were in the shape of a horse, and then there was like a for the width to give it dimensionality. There was like a width that we somehow glued and kind of constructed it, and so it stood on a thing. And then we create a little door, which actually it probably looked more real than say a paper mache one. So, but I remember learning about, Troy and the Puritans and the Pilgrims and, just very cursory, juvenile, basic thing. And the only way that you're really going to ever get any more knowledge about those cultures is if you get a subscription to, like, say, National Geographic or the Smithsonian, or you're paying attention. And of course, we did not have the internet, so we could not go off onto these conspiracy theory laden journeys down the rabbit hole on the internet. Like, we couldn't do that, right? So we were kind of stuck. And you may or may not choose to take further history classes like that in college based on whatever requirements you have. I went down communications, and I remember I took, and it's also what you can get. Keep that in mind. If you're in college, it's what you can get. So some classes might, you know, um, fill up really quickly. And I remember I took a class, and I don't know why. And it was like and it was a 2-part survey class of Europe in 1848. Isn't that exciting? So it was like basically yeah, it was really exciting stuff. Anyway, so I didn't really, deep dive it. And it wasn't until, you hear snippets here and there about this theory, about that theory. Maybe, both my parental units had subscriptions to National Geographic and the Smithsonian. Not that the Smithsonian is going to cover Egyptian stuff, but you really, unless you're really actively, you're not going to pick up what the new research is. And one of the sites of, like, Göbekli Tepe, that site in Turkey, and I've been to Turkey, but that site in Turkey was not discovered until like 1994. It was like the early to mid 1990s that Göbekli Tepe was discovered. And I was already in my 7th year of college. So unless, I was often doing other things in my life at that time. So unless you're really paying attention to this stuff, you're not, if you're a nightly news watcher, maybe they'll have something about it, like, oh, they've discovered this, But it hasn't been until the internet and YouTube that people have actually been able to get more information about this stuff, and information that was not funneled through encyclopedias, right? Or formal journals, or, National Geographic, subscriptions. National Geographic, that would be something that they would probably want to tackle, but how many people can afford or choose to really do that? How many people are really looking into that kind of stuff? They're like, I learned about Egypt. Okay, move on by. And you're not really going to find out much about it unless you're really, really paying attention. So most people aren't really that aware, because it was only until 1994. And a lot of the stuff is very slow. But now we've got the internet and we have YouTube. And so it is possible. But unfortunately, there are people, the powers that be, that really want to make it very hard. And they really throw out a lot of distracting, kind of stupid stuff out into the public. And they don't want people to really look at this stuff, because it's all about money. They would rather distract you about the Kardashians and just pop music and stupid drama stuff, instead of, oh, wow, if you play a video game, you can get over 1 million followers, and people just get obsessed with this crap. But finding out about our origins as human beings, no, whatever. I already learned about that. No big deal. It's like a bunch of rocks on it. Yeah. I actually read that comment today. There was another video about, oh, I know what it was. It was a woman doing a TED talk, and this is kind of one of the things I wanted to address. She was doing a TED talk on how all of these crazy ancient alien stuff is really racist, and it's denigrating the whole historical record, and that it's just very disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. So she did this whole TED talk about how, the History Channel is pushing the stuff out to very ignorant people, and then they're being very racist because they're saying aliens did things instead of the culture of these people. And she goes off on this tangent. So she starts out trying to say she's going to debunk ancient alien theories, but then she goes off onto, oh, who controls history, and how history is controlled by a bunch of racists, and you know and that should we keep up statues of Robert E. Lee. And I'm thinking, okay, what does that have to do with ancient aliens? But anyway, but you're right. I mean, history is controlled by people that want to control the narrative, and it's very unfortunate. I'm very liberal and I care about freedom, but I think that there is a wokeism that is permeating a lot of this stuff. So if you look and you even make the claim, let's forget about the alien stuff, just put that in the corner. That's for another day. Just by saying that there was an advanced civilization that made these things, you could be called out as being a racist. I don't understand that. Because traditional, again, unless you've been really, really deep diving this stuff throughout your life, I am 54, I'm going to be 55 next year, you're really not going to have this knowledge about what's really going on. And you just will go, oh yeah, pyramids, they buried the pharaohs in the things, blah blah blah. You don't really, mummies, okay, whatever. You have a very cursory understanding of what really actually is there. They tell you something, you believe it, you don't really think about it, you move on in your life. But some of the stuff that I was learning is that, and this isn't new to me, but over the decades, I've learned there was no pharaoh that was found they did not find a pharaoh's tomb in any of the pyramids. They found stuff in the pyramids, but the claim that the pyramids were the tombs of the pharaohs is a myth. Okay. They didn't find it. Okay. And so if you really, really look and really hear what's actually going on, they're like, no, there was no tomb. The Saqqara stones, for instance, these are highly precise, precision created granite boxes that are 100 tons with lids on them. Okay. This site was closed to the public for 37 years because they were shoring it up and everything like that. And it was only until 2012 that it actually became open again to the public. Okay. And so if you look up on YouTube, you can start seeing people that have gone there and started really looking at this stuff. 37 years, though, they were shut off from the public. People didn't really, I mean, they discovered them earlier in the 20th century, but no one really had been able to get in there and look at them. That isn't until about 2012. So that information about what these boxes are, what we're told these boxes are, that they're these tombs for the for these Apis bulls. There was an Apis bull cult. Okay. It was a cult. Okay. A cult where people worshiped these bulls as these immortal, reincarnated spiritual souls of fertility. I mean, there's a whole thing about them. They said that they built these highly precise granite block, like granite boxes, and you go look up Saqqara stones. Tell me what you see. Okay, why did they have this kind of technology, and why did they do it only for a bull cult? Really? Like, seriously? And they were put in and engineered, and they were put in these tiny little niches. Okay, why? And basically, they speculate that no, these boxes were actually for something else. We don't know really what they were. Some say batteries, but that's, again, we'll put that aside. Um, and the only reason why they think that these boxes had anything to do with the Apis bulls was because they had some crude hieroglyphic like writing on these boxes. These are they're polished. They have highly precise straight lines. You just look at them, okay? And then they've gone over and they put this very crude, scritchy writing of these hieroglyphics that said, "Oh, these are for the Apis bulls." Now, bear in mind, the guy who originally found these stones did not find a bull in any of them. He actually blew one of them up to get at them because they were so heavy. Like, there's these lids that, and you can't see light through them. Um, he blew one of them up to see what was in it. There was nothing in it. There was no bull. There was nothing. Okay. Um, they did find bulls, but they were in the big, like the front of the site. So it wasn't even that they found the bulls in them. So it's kind of like, just because they scratched some stuff on there about this cult doesn't mean that that was the original purpose of these boxes. Same goes for the pyramids. Same goes for a lot of these things. There was another site that had these highly precise engineered, like 20,000 of these um, incredible vases that were made out of a very hard stone, diorite, granite, and they were obviously done on they were obviously done on a wheel. Okay, they had to have been something, but they were very, very polished. I mean, the intricacy of these bowls. And they said, oh, well, these were canopic jars. And we should all know what a canopic jar is, right? That's where they put the organs of the person they were mummifying. And with these jars that they found were these very crude clay lids on them. And people were like, why would you go to the effort of creating these highly precise, incredibly uh, carved vases with little handles? I mean, you look those up too. They're on the internet now. Get them while you can. And then why would you put these very primitive clay lids on these canopic jars? And they say that these were all done and during the Bronze Age. So, basically they say just because you write Ramses' name on a statue doesn't mean that that's Ramsey, doesn't mean that it was made in the time of Ramsey, but Egyptologists and historians just say, oh, well, it said it was so that must be who it is. And that is not right. That's a fallacy. Like, you can't, just because someone says something doesn't mean that that's true, or just because they write something, you could change the name of the author of a book. That doesn't make that book written by that person. And we should know this. We should be a little bit more discerning. And yet, people that question this, they're the ones who are considered to be kooks, right? So anyway, but that's what I've been doing. I've been deep diving, going back, learning history, um, learning Egyptian history, because I needed to get a refresher and kind of go, what is the timeline? What am I? Because you hear stuff and it becomes this montage. It's kind of like the 60s, right? You get this montage of what the 60s are, but then you actually look at the 60s and what happened during the 60s. Very different thing. What's marketed to people in a very dumbed down way is very different than actually what is the truth and the facts of the matter. And yeah, I recommend everybody to keep an open mind, go back, study your history. Seriously. I mean, it's fascinating. Do it while you can. While YouTube is, I mean, YouTube is a shadow of what it used to be in terms of content. And we've been, and the thing that's very sad is that the accusation of racism is now the, oh, you're going to hell. You're going to hell threat, you know? So they don't want people to look at stuff and they don't want people to question. And if you do question or if you do look into stuff, you're labeled a racist. Doesn't matter if you are or not. You're just labeled a racist because, that's the new, you're going to hell. Don't look at that. You're a sinner. Don't look at that. You're going to go to hell. You better not look at that. And you're not supposed to question. You're not supposed to question the Bible in Sunday school, right? You're supposed to sit there and go, okay, all right, yeah, okay, I believe everything you tell me. And if you question things in the Bible, which some kids are known to do, like they're going, but I don't understand that. And they're like, oh, you're Timmy, you're bad. You shouldn't question that. This is the word of God. How dare you? And again, we're doing this again. But now the level is racism. Oh my God. I mean, I got accused of being a bigot again. And I'm thinking, I'm not a bigot. you know? It's just, what are you supposed to do with that kind of stuff? People do that all the time. Like, oh, well, that would be what a bigot would say. You don't know me. You don't know my values, you know? But like, we've been so like, oh, Trump comes about. And that if you actually don't agree with the status quo, oh, you must be a Trump supporter. Really? You really think I'm a Trump supporter? Really? Like, I'm like the first person that has railed against Trump. But now he is now the poster child of all things ignorant. You know, you must be an ignorant, election denying, flat earth, anti vaxxer, Trump supporter. Or, if you don't believe the status quo. And I mean, I see these and it just sends up red flags, and I go, okay, I see what you're doing. And I just move on because I just realize that it's just stupid. And I really encourage my fellow liberal peers, please, please be smarter. Please question. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what real science is. Science is not about just belief. You need to question. And if something doesn't feel right, or if someone's telling you this, you need to question it and go, really? Is that really what's going on? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Really, like these high precise boxes, but yet you're saying it's because people were so primitive. And that's the other really funny thing, because they're saying that they want to have their cake and eat it too. So they're saying that people that question the official narratives of the history of, say, let's just say Egypt, but it could be any major ancient civilization, Mayan, whatever, that if you don't accept the status quo, that the culture that we imagine, so like modern Egyptians, the ancestors of these modern Egyptians were the ones who built the pyramids. And that if you say advanced civilization, you're racist because you're saying that these people could not have been, they are too primitive and they couldn't have built the pyramids. And so bad, shame on you that how dare you? That's a racist thing you're saying. I mean, but all that people really technically are saying is that no, it's just that you have been told, you and I, we've all been told this. Now, yes, historians may be slowly changing the narrative and saying, well, we never said that. No, or look at this new, they may be changing a little bit, but I remember distinctly that this is what I was led to believe. And that we're just expected to believe it, and that if we question it, that we're bad. And so we're told that they didn't have the wheel. I actually didn't think they had the wheel. I actually did think they had the wheel, but technically, I guess they didn't. That's why they keep saying they moved these huge tonnage blocks on sledges and that they floated them up the Nile because they didn't have the wheel. Okay. And even if they did have the wheel, there are people who have done the math, done the science, and they said that would have been really hard. That would have been very, very hard for them to have moved these multi, 100,000 ton, whatever, blocks on wheels. And that, yeah, they might have had to do it on sledges, but they said they moved them on sledges because they didn't have the wheel. And what is the wheel? The wheel, if you're doing a lathe, that's the wheel. So it's kind of like there's a lot of technological inconsistencies in their argument. Like they're saying, oh, well, they made diorite chiseled hammers or Bronze Age chisels and tools and carving tools. Now they come up with a lot of ideas about what they could have done, like saying, oh, it was a drag saw. That's what they call a drag saw with humans, and they put some kind of a polishing thing. They may come up with all of these ideas, right? And people go, okay, well, yes, we're not saying that copper or bronze can't cut granite. We're just saying that the extent and the immensity of these projects. Now, keep in mind another thing that they're saying, that the three main pyramids, as well as the complex, with all of the stones, with all of the, like, it's a master plan thing, was done in a time period of 3 generations, 70 to 100 years, that these were all completed. And they were designed to be tombs for the pharaohs, these pharaohs. That's what we're told. That's the official narrative. And people are like, that makes no sense. But yet, if you question that, you are racist. I don't know. I'm just saying, question people. Look into it. Look into it yourself. Don't just take my word at it. Just look into it, because I'm probably certain that anybody seeing this probably doesn't have the most recent up-to-date knowledge about Egypt or any of these cultures, for instance. They really haven't looked at them. I bet most people don't have a subscription to National Geographic. When was the last time you actually looked at a National Geographic? When was the last time you actually did look into anything that wasn't on the mainstream news or on a Condé Nast travel thing? And I'll talk about that in another video. But just question. Just use your mind. Be a scientist, as we all want to be, correct? We want to use our scientific inquiry. Question. So, with that, I got to go. I got to study for work. And anyway, I hope everyone is having a good day. And don't be a blindness consumer, and have a wonderful get together with your friends. And you probably need to wear a mask because everyone's sick and coughing and not wearing masks again. Yeah, and there's like 50 different diseases now out, not just COVID. So, anyway, I hope everyone has a nice holiday if I don't get back with you. And thanks for listening to me blather. Again, this is just a vlog. So, all right. Bye.